Good afternoon, everyone. Hope all is well. Love and light, guys. Today, guys, I have a special guest for you. Um, I'm sorry. Hold on for a minute, guys. I'm using another uh, post comments. Okay, yeah, I'm using another app here, which is StreamYard. So it's actually different from what YouTube allows us to use with StreamYard. It will enable me to have more than one person on the platform. Yeah. So today, guys, I have a special guest on the platform. She was on the platform once before, but I got a lot of positive feedback. So I wanted to do a part two with her and her husband. And I'm just going to be asking them a lot of questions, the good, the bad, the ugly. Yeah, I'm going to be having them on in a minute. Also, want to give you an update with my house. The electric will be done today. So you guys be sure to, look out for an updated video of the house with all the electrical done. And I'll go over, the numbers as far as how much I have spent because I had to kick out a little bit more money. Yeah, and I always advise you guys, when you're building a home, more than likely you will go over your budget. There's always something that you have to buy, and then also before I bring on the special guest, I just want to make mention because I had posted a video of a Dominican home, a home in Dominican Republic in Santo Domingo. It's in the Dominican neighborhood, and I got some flack from a couple of viewers. I got some flack from them. Oh, one of the viewers said I must be smoking something. Another viewer said, "Nah, listen, my thing to that is." What you guys won't buy, somebody else will. Okay, and why would I not post property in Dominican neighborhood? I mean, listen, it's something for everybody out there, something for everybody. What's that a good old saying? Somebody's trash is somebody's treasure. So yeah, guys, yeah. So I'm not gonna not post a Dominican home only because there's people on here that's not interested. To each his own. All right. So now, with that being said, I'm going to have my special guest come on. Colleen, when you are ready, you can join the chat. You can join the chat when you're ready, Colleen. And to Sharonda Checo, hello, hello. Welcome to the live. Welcome to the live. Just waiting for Colleen to jump on in. I did send her to the link, so I'm just waiting for her. When you are ready, you can come on in. Yeah. I don't know if she got it. I sent it to her. Let me just be hold on, guys. Give me 1 minute. Yeah, I'm waiting for Colleen to come on. Colleen, if you are there, you can join the chat. You can join the live, Colleen. Waiting on you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Sharonda, if you want to reach out to Colleen, I just don't want to go off the live. Um, you want to reach out to her to see if she got the link? I sent it to her on WhatsApp, so she should be able to access it. Guys, for those of you guys who are just joining, I'm just waiting on my special guest to come on in. And today, Future World Films. What's going on, bro? What's going on? Thank you guys for joining the live. And for those of you who are on now, be sure to hit that like. Be sure to hit the share. Be sure to hit the subscribe. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so she's sending me an audio, guys. Just give me a minute. Give me a minute. I don't know what's going on here. Give me 1 minute, guys. I'm sorry for the malfunctioning. Hold on. Colleen, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, all right. This is my first time using StreamYard, so I'm a little unfamiliar, but it was self-explanatory. I thought you weren't able to access, connect with me. So I'm glad to have you and Rick on. Rick, how you doing, my brother? I appreciate you coming
Uh,
to the platform.
I'm doing okay. Thank you very much. It's great to be on with you.
Yes, glad to have you. As I mentioned to Colleen, oh God, she says she can't hear me. Can you guys? Okay, Sharonda, who can
Yes,
you
we can
hear?
hear you.
Sharonda, can you hear me or no? Or you can't hear Colleen and Rick? Let me know. All right, sounds good now. Okay, great. So yeah, I got Colleen, I got so much positive feedback from the viewers from the last interview that I did with you. So this is what prompted me to have you and your husband come on. And your husband is a police officer in Dominican Republic, which is great because I like to kind of get his perspective on just on Dominican Republic in general, the good, the bad, the ugly. Dominican Republic has a lot of bad. It has its good points and it has its bad points. People when they describe Dominican Republic, it's known for men. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you went out for a little bit there, but you were going about the good and the bad of Dominican Republic.
Yeah, we want to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. Dominican Republic is a beautiful place, but we don't want to talk about all the good things. We want to kind of talk about the bad things so that people who are traveling there, they kind of know what to expect. And to get it from your point of view, especially being a police officer, I think it's great, coming from your perspective. So uh, I'm going to ask you a few questions and, you can answer them, and I want you to be as candid as possible. And if you can't, you just say, I plead the fifth. All right.
No problem. No problem.
Jay, let me ask you a question. I know we have a lot of light in the background. I'm gonna close the curtains so it
Okay.
doesn't reflect too much. Okay,
That's
ready?
that's that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so well, I'll wait for Colleen to sit down and Colleen, you're more than welcome to chime on in. This is, you can give your points too.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So,
There we go.
for a person like myself who has been traveling to Dominican Republic for, I would say, well over 7 years, I'm pretty much seasoned. I have been through a lot. I have been through a lot of experiences, some great experiences, some bad experiences. And one of the reasons why I created my platform is to kind of shed light on, good and bad experiences for people who are looking to invest, even relocate. This can help them to navigate. You understand? So one of the things that I have experienced, with investing in Dominican Republic, trying to find, a reputable lawyer, and I did find a lawyer, worked with him because I don't know if Colleen explained to you, I do real estate. So one of the things that I did do with the lawyer, I had a client from my YouTube channel who purchased some land through him, and he was supposed to pay me a commission, right? So, I thought he was a stand-up lawyer. My client got all his documents and everything, and this lawyer decided not to pay me. Okay, and he was very, just very like nonchalant about it, telling me that if I take him to court, good luck. So this is pretty much what happened to me. So I want to ask you, like, what can we do as foreigners to protect ourselves in Dominican Republic? Now, is there any protection for foreigners when they're faced with these kind of situations? And in the event this happens, what can they do in order to? Because in our country, if a lawyer stiffs us, we can go after them. There's ways that we can retain our money back. But for a foreigner, if they're facing that kind of situation, what advice would you give them?
Well, the first line of advice is, and I think this applies in general, because it doesn't just happen to foreigners. It even happened to me once. But the
Uh-huh.
thing about commissions is that you have to have everything in writing. Even if you're helping out in a sale, if it's written in the contract that you're a party, a third involved party in the sale and everything, you are promised a commission. Just have them include that in the sales contract. They cannot refuse to do that. And that'll be your way to be able to claim any foul play, like you just told me,
Uh,
because you gave your word. In some instances, a man's word is everything.
right,
That's the way I am.
and I'm big on that. I was always raised. You only have your word, and if you don't have that, you have nothing.
Exactly.
So I was raised like that. So this was my first client. My first experience going through that. So now after going through that, I know pretty much how to navigate myself. But he was he like I said, he told me good luck in courts, and that was that. But yeah, as foreigners, we do need to protect ourselves. And for somebody like yourself, you're married to well, you are an American. You're Jamaican by heart, but you are an American. But
Yeah. All
you
right.
know,
Yes.
so Colleen has you as a protection. But for somebody like myself and other foreigners who moving down there, who don't have that kind of protection, what advice would you give them?
Well, the first line of advice, because remember, people don't travel like first time travelers when they usually come for vacation. They don't deal with the nitty gritty with the paperwork or anything. But when you're thinking of moving over here or coming to stay for extended periods of time or for business, it's good to do proper research. And you can find any documents, laws, and everything on the internet. It's not exclusive. And even in libraries, books and everything are accessible. Now you're thinking, oh, but it's in Spanish. How am I going to be able to do that research? Or should I find someone I can trust? You know that you can always find people, other Americans, other English speakers that could tell you what to do at first. But as your first time, it's always do proper research. Don't jump on anything. It's like, oh, this seems cheap. This seems like an easy to do. No, that's the first mistake a lot of people do. And again,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't only happen to foreigners. Me as a lawyer, I've noticed, and I have a lot of friends. There are friends like for me, I'm going to focus on immigration law. That's
Okay.
what I'm going to start focusing on. And for paperwork, um, since I'm a cop, I can't go into penal law. It's forbidden. But I can do paperwork, translations, and all of that.
Mhm.
Now, I have to do my proper research for every case. And whenever you're going to try something, like some people tell you, oh, you always have to have a lawyer. There's a lot of paperwork, like even the process of opening your own company. You can do that without a lawyer. You can go to the places, solicit your own paperwork. But it's like I'm telling you, just first do your proper research, see what the papers that you need. And if it's in Spanish, there's Google Translate, there's apps, there's AI. Don't be afraid to do your own research. And don't, like, if I give you an advice as, okay, I found this lawyer, he seems pretty good, never give anybody 100% of your trust, because me and you, we're people of our word, but we're a rare breed of people. Let's say that.
I'm going to play
Right.
devil's advocate here
Mhm.
because I'm going to refer to my experience. I had a lawyer that told me one thing that stuck in my head, that
Uh-huh.
he says, keep this to yourself. He said, if your paperwork is not given to you in the language that you speak, it's null and void. So as far as if you got paperwork, say for instance, renting an apartment, buying a property, when you get that contract, if it's not given to you in English, you go to the fiscal. If something happens, fiscalera. And I
That is
have had
true.
to go to the fiscalera because I had a situation where I had a lawyer who tried to rip me off, and I had to get another lawyer. But what I want to say to the folks is, sometimes you have to have a point of reference, someone you can start with, that you can say, this person is going to give me a point of reference. Now let me check on this lawyer. Let me
Mm-hmm.
see if other people in expat groups, or if you're part of a Facebook expat group that has used them before. And that's usually how it goes. It's a lot of word of mouth, but
Right.
that one piece of advice
It saved you a lot.
That a lot of foreigners don't know. If it's not in the language that you speak, it's null and void.
It's null and void. That is true.
Okay. Okay. See, so that's good information. Good to know. Good to know. So, like I said, I've been traveling to DR a lot, and one thing that I do know, like, there's corruption in every country. In every country. In DR, it's a little bit more in your face, for somebody that's traveling there new, they would kind of be taken back to the point where they might be like, you know what, I don't think I want to travel here again. You know what I mean? It has, and it has, because it has happened to me. I mean, countless of times. So I'm gonna say it. When I travel there, I usually rent a car. I go about my business, and one thing that I notice is that I always get pulled over. I get pulled over a lot. So now, I make sure I get a rental car with dark tints so that I'm not a target. And when I do get pulled over, I mean, it's not that I'm speeding. I'm just a target. I'm just a target. And what normally happens is I end up having to pay them. Some people, they don't like it. I mean, and why should you pay for something that you didn't do? So my question to you is, when somebody is faced with that situation, what should they do? I mean, is there laws to protect that? And in the event a cop gets caught trying to extort money from a foreigner, what happens to them?
Okay, so I kind of figured that you were going to touch on that, because that is something that a lot of foreigners would like to know, especially from a cop. I can't go into visual details, but I can tell you at least certain little tidbits, let's say life hacks, let's call them that. Things that you could do to actually, you already used one. Tinted windows, it's very rare to be pulled over with that. Now, here's the question. At what time were you driving those times that you were pulled over? Was it late at night? Was it daytime? Or was it just
daytime, nighttime. One time I was in, like I was in the barrios, man. My thing is this: if I, let me just elaborate on that a minute. I'm one of those people. When I go travel to DR, I want to experience everything. I don't want to just be, So I'm not afraid to be in the barrios. As long as I'm safe and I'm okay, and I'm not one of those people that draw attention on myself. But yeah, I got pulled over by one of the military cops, coming out of the barrio. Not that I had anything on me, but they wanted some money, and I gave it to them. So let me ask you a question: Is that part of the culture? Is it part of the culture?
This is the thing, and it's being outmoded. A lot of people don't know that before 5 years ago, you want to know what a regular cop's salary was?
I know they don't make much.
Yeah, exactly. I'm being forthcoming. The thing is that as cops, we were taught that we aren't supposed to do wrong things, but we need to survive. It's something that you pick up. You may say it's part of the culture, but it really depends on where you're working. It depends on how your life is going, because it's not something that everybody does. Okay. Even I had to work for 3 years in Santiago back when I was starting out. I've been in the police for 11 years. And I can tell you, and just as I've told my wife and everybody that's watching, those were the 3 hardest years of my life, because the police only says come into work. They don't care the how, when, or what are your troubles. They just want you to come in, period. That's just how it is. So you have to try to make it work. I don't know if you understand where I'm coming from.
No,
so the thing is that there are cops that do that. There are some that will help you out of the goodness of their heart without expecting anything. Now, if the area, just like you said, it's a barrio, you're going to run into it more frequently, because that's just how things work in the barrio. Because even though you didn't have anything, you were pretty much around the area. That's the first thing they think, that you're getting something. Okay. And they want in. But when you are in, like, let's say here in Puerto Plata or in regular spaces, it's very unlikely that you're going to run into that kind of thing. Now, the second part of the question you asked, are there laws in place if someone gets? Yes, of course there are. Here in every region, there is internal affairs. So you can denounce because cops are mandatorily required to be wearing a named uniform. You can see the name tag on the right, and you can go to internal affairs and denounce it. That's one thing. People think it's like, oh, I only came in for a week from the States. I'm not going to mess around with it and nothing's going to happen. That's wrong. As soon as they get questioned, they do investigate because me, for instance, I'm part of a division that's called Inspectoria, which is for investigating the wrongdoings of cops during service when it comes to protocol. Now, internal affairs, it's when it's against morality, like taking money, extorting, and stuff like that, because it happens. Now, I've seen a lot of cases that people think, well, there was this case in Sosua where this man crashed into a unit. I can't remember. I can't divulge his name or when it happened. It happened a couple of years ago. But you know what happens when you have an accident, right?
Right.
They tried to take advantage of him. They tried to think two cops that are now, they're not even part of the police anymore exactly because of that. And you know what he did? He didn't stay silent. What he did was he brought his lawyer in, someone that he trusted. They did all the dealings, signed even a contract. Then he went with that to internal affairs. They didn't take his money. They couldn't do anything. And both of the cops were kicked out because he had indefinite proof. And even in certain circumstances, it's just to be ready, be prepared, and to not be afraid to speak out or to try to seek help. Because that's the mistake that a lot of people do. Oh, they're cops. This is a really corrupt country. I can't do anything to defend myself. No, it's about, like I said before, researching and finding out. You wouldn't know there is internal affairs unless someone tells you, or that there's a division of internal affairs in every area. In this case, since we live in Puerto Plata, there is one. And even when you go to the police station, they can't deny you information. That's another thing. You can go to different police stations and ask them, oh, where's internal affairs at? Or where's this? Or where's that? Someone might say they don't know because we're not all knowing, but someone will meet you. They will ask you what's going on. You will get directed to the proper place. But there's just a lot of people that think, oh, because I'm a foreigner or I don't speak the language well, I'm not going to get the information. That's not the case. There's a lot of people that will try to find a way to help you out because they want you to come back. They want you to feel safe here. They want you to keep frequenting Dominican Republic because a lot of people don't know that most of the internal revenue for our country is both foreigners and tourism. That's where it is. And before they used to say, or it used to be like that only hotels or only tourist areas were reaping in the benefits. Not anymore. Why? Because foreigners are coming just like you. They're trying to make lives here. They're coming to do business. So we want to protect that. It's not the same. If you would have told me 5 or 6 years ago, a lot of those functions were not in place. Or maybe before it was like, oh, since you're a foreigner, they're not going to help you. All they want is to get you for more money. That's not the case anymore. It used to be back years ago because I went through it. It was when I was a minor, there was this man, and I still remember his name. I wish I could find him again. His name was Craig Sylvester. And there was this motoconcho that ran into him. And I served as an interpreter for him. And at the end, just to make a long story short, he had to pay the lawyer $200. He paid the motoconcho $200, and he paid the police $200. And I just felt disgusted. I honestly did. And I was a 16-year-old kid, so you can imagine that and he offered me money, and I said no. I really, I just feel that this isn't what you came for. You came for a vacation of 2 weeks. And 2 days before you leave, this happens to you. A guy runs into your car in the back, and you have to pay for it. But like I said, that was years ago. That was about 10 to 15 years ago. But now, if someone runs into you, you call your lawyer if you have one, or call someone that speaks Spanish and English, and you're not getting stiffed. It's okay. We're going to do the process that has to be done properly. It doesn't matter if I'm a foreigner or where I have rights, human rights. And that's something that a lot of people think, oh, because I'm a foreigner, it's not going to happen. They're just going to try to take advantage of me.
Well, I think mainly it's because of the language barrier is what gets a lot of foreigners. Is why a lot of foreigners have that mentality like they're not going to help me, they're not going to do anything, and this is one of the reasons why a lot of foreigners are even afraid to rent cars. In Dominican Republic for that reason because God forbid they get into an accident, they already know. Depending on who you're renting from. And me traveling, like I said, for years, I've done made connections to whereas anybody that's looking to rent a car, they can go right through me on my channel just to ensure that if in the event something happens, they're not going to get stiff. You know what I mean? And it happens a lot. It does. It happens a lot. So I think the main thing is just they just want to feel secure and protected in anything they do when they're navigating themselves in Dominican Republic. So another question I want to ask now. DR is known as the man's paradise. A man's paradise. This is one of the reasons why a lot of us flock to DR. Now, coming from a local's perspective, how do the local people feel about, I would say, the exploitation? Do they frown upon a certain group of people, meaning, blacks, whites, because a lot, it's a preconceived notion that, mainly black men really are stealing Dominican women. I even had a viewer on my channel who was like, you guys are dogs, you're stealing our women, and I kind of had to clear that up because there are a lot of us that come down there with, good intentions, trying to boost the economy, trying to create jobs for the local people. It's unfortunate that it takes a few bad apples that make it bad for the bunch, and you got people like myself who are going down there trying to clean up that to show the local people that there are people that are not, into that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So, my question to you really is how do your people really look at that? Do they really frown upon it? How do they, how do they feel about it in general?
Okay. Well, from my perspective, at least,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to race, like you say, black men, white men, and etc., here, and my wife can attest to that, there's really not that much prejudice on
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to racism. That's a notion that is very, very misinterpreted. Like when they say, "Oh, DR is dangerous," they're locking up black men, they're deporting people or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And that's something that, and I know this is it sounds very controversial, or a lot of people say it's like, oh, it's mostly targeted and it's to Haitians, and it's not legal Haitians either. It's illegal immigrants that come in and they're all around the place. And every week, I can tell you, every week, a certain day, the National Department of Immigration comes and picks people up. Now, you're not used to seeing that in the States. What you're used to seeing is, oh, they're going to do a raid in such and such place, and they bundled up a couple of immigrants. Or you're going to see an inspector come in, let's say at your grocery store, and say, oh, you're contracting an illegal immigrant. We're taking them from you. That's what you're used to seeing, something more formal. But here, obviously, it's a third world country. It seems more visceral, more alive.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it comes to what you said about men coming in for that tourism, how do people feel about it? Well, the way most Dominicans and the way even I see it is you work to enjoy your life and to spend your money however you want. And that
Mm-hmm.
you're taking Dominican women, and no, that's not the case. You're just coming here you go to certain places to get a certain service.
Mm-hmm.
House of Suez, certain other places. All right. But
Mm-hmm.
we don't feel that you're coming. If anything, you're boosting us. Now, there are some men that come, do some really mean things, both to women, men, and what have you. And just because they have the money to do it, they feel like they can treat us less, like we're a minority. And that's what's really frowned upon. Like, even when you see, like, and I've had it happen to me, and when they see my level of English or my communication, they get surprised or they even step back because they treat, oh, you're just a regular Dominican. I can talk to you however you want. No, that's not the case. I'm a human being just like you. You will treat me with the respect I'm giving you. And I
Right.
think that's where a lot of people should really tread carefully, that they come to the country, they come for a certain demographic or a certain kind of tourism, but they feel entitled just because they have a little bit more money or they have better income than us, that they could treat us however. Oh, with $100, I'm paying your salary, so you have to listen to me and I can talk to you however I want. There's a lot of Dominicans that'll bow out and because they want their money and they need their money, but there's a lot of them that they bow out, but they don't forget. And that's why you see that bad rep happen. Because a lot of us, we bow out, but we don't forget. And that's why a lot of people, like when it's 2 or 3 times that you experience the same thing, you're going to be more careful and you're going to show it too.
Okay. Makes sense. Definitely makes sense. So for myself, I'm building a home in a campo, and I get a lot of flack from that. Some positive, some negative, but from your perspective, because you are local Dominican, is it safe for Americans, foreigners, gringos, to live in a campo? Is it safe?
Well, this is the thing.
Or a Dominican neighborhood in general, whether it be a Dominican neighborhood or the Campo, would you say it's safe?
This is what my take on it, because it really depends on how sociable you are. You see, me, I'm a person that just likes to keep to myself no matter where I live. Like I say hi when I leave to work or whatever. Same as my wife. Sometimes she comes out, she says hi, she goes to the salon. I think the main point is that you have to see like how people are around you. Since you've been traveling here, you notice that everybody says hi, even if you're a foreigner or not. And your neighbor, like you meet your neighbors the next day after moving, or even during the move, and they say hi, welcome to our neighborhood. Even if you're an English speaker, you see that they're very welcoming, and that's part of the Dominican culture. Now, living in a campo, it really depends on which campo you're living in or how far off the grid it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you keep to yourself, you go, you say hi to everybody, you're not acting like I said entitled or whatever. You're being a nice person. You just have to always be vigilant. Even as a Dominican, I can tell you that I'm always thinking where I'm going. I'm watching out for myself. Even if a bike is coming up, and my wife sometimes gets a bit annoyed by it. Oh, it's just a regular. It's like you never know.
Right, right. You
You
always got
never
to
know,
be
because
on.
no
You
matter
always
where
got to
you
be.
live, there's a possibility. Now, here's something that a lot of people don't know. Like when you ask the neighbors, or even when, like, you can even ask as you're moving in, and that takes a little bit of skill or a little, at least a modicum of knowing how to speak Spanish. It's like, oh, just ask them straight up, how's the crime here? And they will tell you, they will tell, oh, sometimes they steal some gas tanks, sometimes they broke into a home or they break into a banca. Just by that, and I'm telling you both as a cop and as someone that has lived in Santiago, in Puerto Plata, there are some neighborhoods that crime never happens. Never.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes it's that someone comes from another place, like let's say Santo Domingo or Santiago, to commit crime here. It's only a one-time thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's safe. You just have to always be vigilant. Don't get overconfident just because nothing's ever happened. That's the thing, because crime exists everywhere.
Everywhere. And I tell when people ask me, you afraid? And the same thing that I said to you, I says when you're moving in the community, the first thing is embracing the community, embracing it. And my community, I'm there to make an impact. I'm providing jobs for the locals. I'm big on education for the kids. So that is my contribution. And I tell people, it's not that you have to give every day, but when you're moving in a campo or Dominican neighborhood, the idea should be, what could I do to make a difference? And that's how you gain the respect of the people. It goes a long way. You can't go wrong with that. So that's the advice that I give for people who are looking to build in a campo or even just live amongst the Dominican people. Yeah.
Don't be afraid to let yourself be known or show off. You're thinking it's like, oh, but since I'm a foreigner, they're probably gonna think I'm an easy buck or whatever. Well, that's not the case when you're living among the others. You're choosing to be part of the community. So that's not gonna happen. They're going to accept you as part of the community, even if your social standing or monetary standing is a bit higher. You're not showing off to them. You're showing that you're trying to be part of them. to
Right.
relate to them.
I still think though that you still have to exercise a little bit of caution. You're not gonna come in there and you're gonna wear all designer clothes and jewelry and you're gonna go out decked out every day. You know, not that you shouldn't enjoy what you have, what you work for,
Right.
but there's something called reading the room.
Mhm.
And
Right.
if you go in and you read the neighborhood and you look around you and you see, okay, I'm at a different standard of living, and there, you know, I'm not gonna go drive a Benz and park it here, and everybody around me is driving motor conscious. It's just, to me, it's just like I said, being aware of your surroundings, because then you do become a target. Because people look at you as a pocketbook. That's all I can say.
That is true.
So we live in a Dominican area, a local
Yeah.
area.
La Union.
La Union. We live in La Union. Now, where I was living before, I was living in Plantation, Star Hills. I was behind walls with, you know, guards with guns and all that stuff. I did not feel comfortable there. I felt secure,
Right.
but I didn't feel at home. I felt I still wasn't part of the community.
Right.
And I actually subleased my apartment and I moved into a local area because I felt more comfortable. But that didn't come until after I had made friends, which his sister-in-law she was working with, she became my good friend. And she took me more into the local areas and I felt more comfortable. I could communicate a little better. And I've been gringo quite a few times, you know. So it happens. You're not gonna escape it, because no matter how much we as foreigners try to blend in, there's something about us that they know right away that we're not Dominican. They just know. I don't know how, but they just know.
Yeah, but it's funny enough, and there are some times, and it's happened at least 3 times, and I laugh every time she says it. There's people that have tried speaking Spanish to her, like immediately. It's like the gringo aura, if that's what you would call it. She's learned how to blend it, and she's like, I speak English. She's like, oh, okay. It's happened to you 3 times.
But the test to that is when, you know, like how we would say hello, they say saludo. And if you say hello, they know right away.
That is true.
That's it.
That's like a tell.
A dead giveaway.
That's a tell.
If somebody says saludo and you say hello, immediately the eyes turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if someone comes in, and this is something that you've noticed, whenever anybody comes in, even at a bus or in there, buenos dias, if you just answer buenos dias, they're like, okay. I know it sounds like it's like, but it isn't really like that. But yes, it's true. It's like those little subtle things in the culture that just make you feel like it's part of it. It's like saludos, buenos dias, ¿cómo está? Yo estoy bien, or whatever.
Yeah, simple, the basic.
The basic. Keep going on in their business.
Right. You know, well, for me, I tell people, if you really want to get, I like to say culturized, you know, you have to dive deep in. You have to dive in. You know, you just have to dive in. Like for me, I guess I'm like you, Colleen. I'm adventurous. My people call me the daredevil. You know, there have been parts of DR where I had a friend tell me, "You see that area? Do not go down that area." And I find myself down there, heart beating like hell. Like, oh, I should have listened. You know, but nothing ever happened to me. You know. I always say it's all how you move. You know, you have to go down there living modest, be modest, blend in. Like it goes back what you said, Rick. Try not to draw too much attention on yourself. You know.
And so if you're going to rent a car, let's say, it's just rent a Toyota, rent a Kia. Don't rent a Ferrari or something like that. That's way too high end for where you're going.
Yeah, like for me, building in the campo, building my house, I know I'm going to be living there, and I'm already like, okay, I do got to get a car, but it's not going to be something where, you know, I'm not trying to live like that. You know, I'm not. I don't want that attention. You know, so I'm like, okay, let me just buy a used 4x4, something reliable that's going to get me to point A to Z. That's it. You know, I don't need all the glitz and the glam, you know, that we have here in the States. I don't need that. You know.
And besides, too, I think once you're here, you're like, remember we talked about mindset? once you're here, I think your values sort of change, and all that fluff is not really necessary. To me, it's more quality
Right.
of life here than
Exactly.
materialism and quantity. So you
Exactly.
do experience a change.
And well, let me ask you a question. How was that adjustment for you though?
I went through my phases. Like when I
Uh-huh.
first came and I was excited and everything was wonderful, and then I got a couple of times. Like I was opening up my boutique, so my smoothie shop, and when I was about to open, and I had gone to Santiago and I bought a juicer, was still in the box, ready to open,
Uh-huh.
and I opened it was empty.
Oh
So the
wow.
guy that had been doing the work in there had stolen my juicer and put it back nice, neatly. I couldn't open. Those things got to me. So like I said, I've been gotten so many times,
And there
you
was that
know.
time your boutique that you set up your air conditioner and everything in a
I
plaza.
didn't even open yet.
She didn't even open the next day. When she went to turn on, the air conditioner was gone.
Air conditioner was gone out the back. I got
Wow.
my money back, moved out, didn't open. So like I said, I've lost money. I've been gringoed a few times. And it's so funny that last weekend we went to Arabacoa, and the guy that took us to
The taxi driver.
guy, I remember him. I remember he was charging me something like $2,000 from Sosua to where I lived in Puerto Plata. And I said to Ricardo, that's the guy that tried me a couple times. And one day I just got mad and I said, stop doing this. I live here. I'm not a visitor. I actually live here. Give me the right price. And he apologized and he never did it again. But he didn't recognize me this time.
No, he
He
didn't.
didn't recognize me.
Uh-huh.
But I got to the point where I got tired. I got tired. And when I moved back to the States, I moved back and I said, I'm never coming back because I don't want to deal with this. And then
Right.
the relationship between us blossomed. And I said, okay, let me try this one more
Let's
Try
give
time.
it one more chance.
And I came back. And now coming back with different eyes. And my son said something to me and it kind of made sense. He said, Mom, you're coming from a culture, a society where the income level is a lot more than the average Dominican. So, okay, why do you want to go there and pay 300 pesos if they were charging you five? You shouldn't even complain about that.
Just pay. And
Because
but I'm sorry to cut you off, but that kind of mentality is the reason why the prices are being driven up because
That's true too.
you have Americans like us, like it's only the right price is 300, but I'll pay the five, but it makes it harder for the expats that are living there. You see what I'm
That's
saying?
true.
It makes it
Mhm.
harder, yeah, because we want to pay the local price like everybody else. And we don't mind giving a tip if we want to give a tip, let that be optional,
Mhm.
But in
Mhm.
most cases, I don't even tip because I already know that the price you're giving me is the gringo price. So there
Yes.
goes you done got your tip, you done got your tip. But yeah, that kind of mentality is the reason why prices are being driven up for the expats that are living there in Dominican Republic. So I always say pay the local price. Pay the price that you're supposed to pay. It's not being cheap. It's paying the price that you're supposed to pay. But I'm
That's
sorry to cut you. I'm sorry to
the
cut you off.
price. I like to see the price. When I'm going to buy something, I don't want to see something that has no label, no price. I want to see the price on there. So I'm not buying it. I'm
Right.
not buying it because they'll
Right.
change the price. The price can go from here to there in a minute. So to me, us being foreigners here, we have to be part of a network. And I keep saying that over and over and over. You cannot isolate yourself. You have to know the locals. You have to become a part of the network, and your life will be 10 times better. 10 because somebody can call me now. My son is moving, and I already said to him, if you need somebody to take down your air conditioner, you need somebody to do whatever, I got you. We have somebody. We need somebody to fix your car. I have you. I can give you all the resources, and nobody's gonna rip you off. And these are
Exactly.
people that we know. These are So that's important. You have to be part of a network.
It's very, very important. And this is one of the reasons why, I want to create a safe space for expats to be able to access whatever they need to access, whether it be a lawyer, a contractor, an engineer, somebody that's going to give them, the right prices opposed to the gringo price. You understand? Like, I remember when I first got started, building in the campo, as well as I know, Rick, when you're building in the campo, you don't really need permits, like that until the government sees what's going on and then they want to tax you. Yeah. So, when I got started, right, I had reached out to an expat. I'm not going to mention the name. And this expat had a builder, right? And they introduced me to their builder. And the builder, before I even got started with the foundation, $5,000 for permit fees and engineering fees and all these kind of, and I'm just like, you're no different from some of the local people. I find that some of these expats are even worse.
They're worse.
They're even worse.
They're worse.
Yes. You want to come down here and make a living for yourself, but at the same time, I feel like you are the roadmap. So help people and give them the help that you didn't get when you got started. This is how you reap your blessings, But people don't see it that way. They don't. So when I got started, after going through that situation, I had to navigate all of this on my own. Did I lose a couple of $1,000s in the process? Yes, I did.
Yeah.
But what I have done, it has enabled other people to be able to go through the process without having to be gringo. You see what I'm saying? And this is one of the reasons why I created the channel. I didn't have anybody to help me. And when I was looking for help, everybody was trying to upcharge me. I even made a video about be careful about the, what was the video title? Be careful about price gouging in Dominican Republic when it comes to the expats. People need to know this. They need to know, So yeah, I'm all about putting out that informative information to really help people because that's what I'm genuinely here for. I'm going to read some of these comments. World Traveler, shout out to World Traveler. He says, hello, everyone. Beautiful couple. Juan Diaz says, really good advice. What can I do to make the neighborhood better? When you are part of the community will take care of you. Exactly. When you are coming in with the mindset of trying to help the community thrive, that community looks out for you. You become an asset to that community. You become protected. It goes back to what I said. This is how you gain the respect of the people, The Nobody 92 says, how do you know the local price if they're not telling you the local price? Well, it's for you to do your due diligence, okay? Yeah. Like when I go, I never pay for anything. My friends pay for everything. I don't. Yeah, that way that's going to ensure that I'm not being gringo. And I'm sure you do that, Colleen, as well. Most times you have Rick pay for everything. This is what you do to avoid being gringo. You have your local friend, your girlfriend, whoever it is, just have a local, pay for it, okay? Yeah.
And I'm sorry I cut you off, but there's one thing, and it's not just limited. Sometimes when you go to a place, you feel it's like, oh, I shouldn't ask how much it is because it's gonna look like I'm cheap. A lot of people need to lose that sense of shame. Ask. It doesn't matter. Just ask, because that will avoid you a lot of grief. And as soon as they tell you, just, all right, no, never mind, I'm not interested. And they can't say anything. They can't feel bad or anything. Why? Because you're protecting yourself.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what business you're coming into, where you are, even if it's a club, even if it's this, ask. There's no shame in asking, whether you be an expat, a Dominican. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of people that have that mentality. It's like, oh, I got money. I mean, how much could it be? No, just ask. It's 2 seconds that'll save you hours of grief. Believe me on that.
I'm sure. And I always tell people, make sure you get estimates from more than one person. And I just have to say this because a lot of us still have this westernized mentality. When you are hiring for somebody to render a certain service, you do not have to pay for an estimate, okay? If you ask a local, oh, how much you gonna charge me for an estimate? Majority of them they're gonna give you a price. So don't ask how much they're gonna charge you. Just tell them you want them to do an estimate. That's it. Because a lot of people do that. How much we pay? Do we pay for estimates in the United States? No, no, we don't. So don't go to Dominican Republic with that kind of mentality. Don't do that. And they already know that you're gonna look. You're shopping around. They already know that. But I always tell people, you at the end of the day, you pay for what you get. you pay for what you get. It's not always about finding the cheapest. Quality is
Right.
always a priority for me. It's always priority.
And
So
don't be afraid to walk away.
uh,
Don't be
Yeah.
afraid to walk away. If you're not comfortable with it, just say thank you and just I'll get back to you.
keep it
That's it.
moving.
Mhm.
So, another question I have for you, Rick. What advice would you give a foreigner looking to invest in Dominican Republic?
Well, the first thing, it really depends on what area you're thinking of investing in, or
Hmm.
what's the business that you're looking to invest in. After you
Hmm.
know what business you're chasing, then you need to get the lay of the land. You see, in the North Coast right now, there's a lot of real estate going on, but it's very overpriced. Even in my own opinion, that's where they're making the biggest mistake. And something that my wife says too is that they're building places to live, but they're not building any kind of entertainment places to go. I mean, yeah, there's bars, but you don't know where there's the only theater here in the North Coast, basically in the area of Puerto Plata, is in Playa Dorada. You don't
Uh,
have like a public baseball field. They're remodeling it. There's no malls.
No parks.
There's no parks to walk around and stuff like that. Like simple things that you would go out with your family to do. All you have is go to Cabarete, which is just a single street and the beach. Go to Sosúa, it's just two streets and the beach and maybe two clubs. But if you go to Santiago per se, you can open up a store for clothing, for food, for anything, and you might be able to do a better because Santiago has a lot of people. You know,
ah,
that's
okay.
again, I tell you, it really depends on the kind of business that you're gonna make. Now, let's
Uh-huh.
say in my wife's case, she started a smoothie shop. The first thing is try to get your own place or somewhere where
Hmm.
you're not paying a lot of rent
Right.
because those are the little things those that will always drive up against your profits.
The over
That's
the
one
over the overhead. Yeah, the
the
overhead.
overhead. That's
Yeah.
one thing. The second thing is do your proper research on the permits. Opening your own company and brand name here is probably you if you find the right or you could find a lawyer that could open it for you. And we were even checking about that the other day. With $1,200, you'll have your own brand and your own company under your name.
So you're saying so the price to LLC, you're looking at like $1,200 to do an LLC in
Not
Dominican
the
Republic.
LLC.
No, it's
Not the LLC. The
the C, the
entire
corporation, but yeah,
entity.
the C times A, C by A, Corporación por Acciones. That's something that my brother opened with 120,000 pesos, which is around $2,000, and it was because he started a bike business.
Okay.
So it's not that expensive, and again, it's just do your research. And a lot of the times, when you're starting a business, you don't even need to start an LLC or to get permits. All you have to make sure is that someone doesn't have your same name, which you can get that even an online quote. You pay for the impuesto. I can't say that in Spanish. Sorry, I lost it. Impuesto is like the fee, the service fee to check if your name is taken, and then you open your business. And it's not hard if you already have the logistics, which is another thing that gets hard. It's bringing your supplies or the things that you're going to need for your business from the States. That's
Uh-huh.
why you have to plan it out properly, what it is that you're getting into. Because
Right.
let's say you send a box. In our case, we use DR Cargo to send certain things that we need. But if you're going to open, let's say, a business for electronics, you have to think that you're going to be paying a lot of money just for import fees if it's over $200
Yeah.
and those kinds of
You
things.
should speak to the labor
And
laws because that's really important.
Well,
oh
yeah,
yeah,
about
the labor. Yeah, yeah. Can you
Labor
elaborate
laws.
on the labor laws as well for foreigners? Yeah, because that is very important. I find it that a lot of these I wouldn't just say foreigners, but local businessmen. They They don't like paying for insurance to insure their employees and stuff. So in the event you open up a business and you have an employee and you do not provide insurance for that employee, what happens in the event in the event that happened? What happens?
Okay. This is, and I'm telling you because this is what happened to me when me and my brother, we opened what you would call like a bike repair shop where we would sell pieces and everything. And I took over the shop for 3 years and we had an employee.
Uh-huh.
And we didn't used to pay him. We didn't pay insurance and all that because the business wasn't that thriving. And it's something that it's really not mandated. So what you do is instead of contracting, you just pay him the salary so he can contract it in a sense. I know it doesn't sound right, right? It's like, oh no, the business is supposed to. If the business is big, if it's a big corporation, then yes, it's mandated. Now, let's say it's like, oh, your employee quits or whatever. He's been working for you for 3 years, right? You're supposed to pay him a severance pay. That's all they can claim. And when they go to the tribunal of job, there's always a set rate of how much. Let's say you're paying your employee 10,000 pesos a month, right? That's like $200 a month. He works 7 days a week or whatever. When he comes up with the claim, which is automatically calculated on the internet, they actually have a site for that. You will know how much you would have to pay him at the end of the day, how much it's a percentage of their total salary. Let's say their insurance is a 5%, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just not to make a long story short, it's required a lot of the times for big corporations, very big businesses, but small businesses, your employee will be content with you paying them their due salary. And when they decide to leave, you just pay them their proper severance. You don't have to worry about, oh, someone's going to sue me because I didn't have an insurance, or someone's going to sue me because I didn't have this or that.
So wait, you mean to tell me? I'm sorry to cut you off. So you mean to tell me that if a person that's been employed with you for 3 years and they decide that they want to just up and leave, they're entitled to a severance pay?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
That's if or listen to this, because it really depends, because that's part of the law is shifty like that. You have to have a proper motive to leaving, properly notify, and etc. But they are entitled to a severance pay. Now, this is something which her son is doing basically because he has a company, and that you can decide to give them their severance pay at a certain amount of time. Let's say every 3 months. You give them like a bonus and you call that the severance pay. Let's say it's a 5% of whatever they've been being paid for the last 3 months. It's 10,000 pesos, 10%. Let's say you're giving them a bonus of 3,000, but then when they quit, you won't have to give them all of that severance pay together
at one time because you gave it to them
exactly.
over. Okay.
Exactly. But just remember one thing, and I can't stress that enough. Have all your things in paper. Make sure that they sign that they receive it. Make sure that they sign a receipt that they received this, because you know that a lot of people, like we said, we're people of our word, but there's a lot of people that don't care. Though even after you've been paying them properly, they can go to the labor court and say that you haven't ever paid them a dime. And it's going to be hard for you to prove if you don't have anything to prove. It's like, I've been paying them every time. It's like, okay, how can you prove that?
And on the holiday,
Christmas. And that's something that a lot of people don't know here. When it's Christmas time, it's by law. You have to give them a double. Besides, let's say if I'm earning 10,000 pesos a month, on Christmas time, you have to give me double. You have to pay me my salary and double of that. That's required by law. Now,
that's whether it's a small corporate, big company, small, no matter what.
Yes.
No matter what, that is required. That is just the thing. Now, there's a lot of people that decide it's like, oh, I don't have to do that because I'm not paying you a salary. That could get you a lot of, because there's a lot of people that earn money by commission or you're a waiter and etc. But
exactly,
don't try to skim out on that, because that will get you in more trouble than you could ever imagine.
Okay.
Yeah, they're very strict with that particular thing.
Okay.
Now, you told me, and sorry to cut you off, you told me about the permits and stuff where you were building. You don't have to wait till the government finds out and etc. What you do is you go to the ayuntamiento, which is the the mayor's place, and
Uh-huh.
you tell them how big or what, you notify them what kind of construction you're going to do, and they're not going to charge you $100 for the permit like anybody else is going to tell you. At the most, depending if it's a house or if it's a wall or whatever, maybe you'll pay $20, $30, and you won't ever have to pay that again. And if an inspector, which it happened to my brother, we went and paid everything beforehand and we started building, right? An inspector came like 2 weeks after that and stopped the construction because they have the ability to do that. Don't, if someone comes in, oh, I'm an inspector, I'm going to stop it, make sure that they have their credentials and everything, and stop. It's okay. Even if you pay, just stop. You go back to the place. It's like, look, I have everything paid for. They'll recognize it. Oh, which inspector was the one that went over there? Oh, so and so. All right, then continue your construction. That's how we did it.
Okay.
But do not be surprised if you run into that. Don't think it's anything out of the ordinary. It happens. Now, a lot of people think it's like, oh, they're trying to get more money out of me, or that's no. It's just here they don't have a system to tell you. It's like, oh, so and so paid, he has his permit. You know that they do a lot of the things by paper, and they see, okay, this place doesn't seem to be up to par. I'm shutting it down now, and it's just.
Okay.
Again, we go back to the point that this is a third world country. There are certain systems that are not up to par yet. There's a lot of things that you have to take it step by step and have the mindset or the know-how that things don't work as fast. And that's another thing. When you file for something here, don't think it's going to be in the States when they tell you, oh, it's going to be 7 business days. No, you have to keep on it every single one of those business days, or else it's not getting done. And that just doesn't happen to foreigners. It happens to all of us.
Right. And that's one of the things I think that us foreigners, especially Americans, I have to say that we are. New York is mainly we expect things to be done in New York minute. We are accustomed. That's just the mentality of New York people. So I tell my viewers all the time, coming down here, you have to exercise patience. Exercise patience. Otherwise, you will be stressed. You'll be stressed beyond stress. Okay. So learning how to be patient, that's something that you're going to have to practice. It's not easy, even when, you're hiring people, you tell them 2:00, they won't get there till about 5 or 6. And they come in with like, do, like nothing happened. Like, it's okay.
Nothing happened.
That's just the mentality. You can't be upset. That's just how, the cookie crumbles. So I always tell people, please, guys, you got to exercise patience. It's very, very important. I got one question I'm going to ask by a viewer, and then we're going to close out. It seems like it's never enough time when you're having a good conversation, because there's still a lot of things that I want to ask. The love story. I love a good old love story. Love it. So I'm going to definitely have you guys back on. Definitely. And also, Colleen, I mentioned to Sharonda, shout out to Miss Sharonda for bringing us together. She's amazing, man. She connects all of us YouTubers together, and I really appreciate her support in that. But yeah, I just want to ask this question. I don't want to leave this question out that the viewer had. He said, what are the qualifications to become a police officer in Dominican Republic, and how long were you a cop for?
Well, actually, I'm still a cop up to this moment. I've been in the police for 11 years and counting. Wow. And to be a police officer, the first thing is that you have to have middle school education. And the restrictions, and I know this sounds crazy to a lot of people because they think, oh, what does that have to do with your character? But you can't have tattoos. You can't have earring piercings. And the age range, in which they changed it recently, the age range to be a cop is from 18 years to 30 years of age. It still hasn't been approved 100% because the age range is always up to 25 and a half years old if you want to be a regular cop. Now, if you want to go to the police academy where you would spend 4 years, that would be the elite academy to come out as a lieutenant, you have to be under the age of 21. You have to have perfect physical conditions because they do make you take several tests, like physical tests, make sure that you have nothing that would limit your physical abilities. But that's basically the bottom line. It's more of have the middle school education, not have tattoos, not have earring piercings, and not have any previous trouble with the law, not be condemned in any shape or form. And you have to be Dominican. You will not see a foreigner
But wait a
apply.
minute.
He can.
I see a lot of Haitians that are police officers now.
Well, here's the thing, because there's a lot of, let's call it what it is. There's a lot of Haitians that have been born here. Both of their parents are, but they're born Dominican, and sometimes one of their parents is Dominican, one of their parents is Haitian. So you know they're by law, in a sense, they're Dominican. The thing is that the law was changed, at least 3 years ago, right before pandemic, 3 or 4 years. Before, if a Haitian was born here in DR, he was Dominican. Period. There was no. But then when things started happening and it still happens today, it's just a lot less. A lot of Haitian women would get pregnant and come and give birth here, and then they would file that their child is Dominican, they have rights, et cetera, et cetera. But it got to the point that it was just indiscriminate, and you're saying it now. There's a lot of people that look Haitian, even though they're not, in the police. They're very dark-skinned, and even in the army, in the Guardia. You see, in the Guardia, for instance, all you have to do is be 16 years of age and get your parents' consent to go into the army here. But you don't see soldiers on the street all the time. That's the difference between the army and the police.
Okay. All right. Well, look, guys, we are over an hour. I really enjoyed this interview. Really did. We're gonna have to do a part 3 because there's, like I said, there's still a lot of things I want to ask. But with that being said, Rick and Colleen, go ahead.
I want to say one thing for your viewers. It's just a little tip when we talk about paperwork.
Okay.
Whenever you have any kind of documents, take a picture with your phone. The ink will disappear after a couple of weeks. You'll have a blank paper.
You'll have a blank paper. That's one thing. And this is something that a lot of people don't know. Make sure that your documents are signed with blue pen ink. Always blue pen ink. Do not let them do it with red, green, or anything. You might think it's like, oh, what would that have to do? That could make your document null and void. I'm just letting you know right now. It's always in blue paper ink.
Okay.
Blue
Good
pen.
to know.
Blue pen ink.
So that's just a tip.
That's just a tip from both of us.
I appreciate that. So, is there any advice that you guys want to give the viewers before we close out? And Colleen, give the viewers your YouTube channel as well. For those who don't have it, give it to them so they know where to find you.
It's called Escape Nurses Burnout, and it's on YouTube. I started 2 years ago, and I kind of stopped when life happened, and I'm starting again. I have a bunch of videos that I've been recording, haven't uploaded because I'm trying to find an editor because it's so tedious to edit. Again, here trying to find good help.
I can help you with that. We'll talk after.
Good, please.
I want to upload, and it's just sitting there, and I can't upload because it needs to be edited. I don't have the time for that. So
okay, I got you.
Just come here with a different mindset. Leave the mentality of the U.S. behind. Bring a lot of patience and just embrace a new culture and embrace the community. Still keep your guard up, and just enjoy life. That's all.
Love it, guys. So I thank you guys for coming on, and I hope to have you on again soon, real soon. I'm talking about 3 weeks or so. And please reach out to your son and let him know I'd like to have him on to talk about the whole opening up the business process and all of that. Yeah. I like to have younger folks on too. I like my viewers are ranged. I like to target the young and the older so that it helps to motivate people. I sent my mom the interview that you and I did together, Colleen, and remember I told you my mom was a scary type. When I told her, Mom, you're retired now, come down, stay at the house 6 months, and she's like, oh, I'm not living there. Well, my mother's best friend is Puerto Rican. She's been best friends with her before I was born. And her best friend is now in Puerto Rico. built a house on her family land. She's got married, and my mom just went out there to visit, and she said, Jason, she said, you should see how Milka is living. You should see how the woman. And I told her, you could be living like that too. These are your golden years. Enjoy it. So you know what she said? When's the next time you go in the Dominican Republic? I'm ready.
That's great. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, guys. So I appreciate you guys for all the love and support, and hope to have you on the platform soon. Until then, guys, we'll be talking to you later. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care of yourself. Bye.